set out on this journey with one goal: to unravel the veil of the paranormal, with investigating places like Lakeside Cemetery, where in the 1970s a flood raised coffins from the ground, the Palmer Hotel, known by many, or the web of tales of the missing girl lost near Hoyt Lakes Memorial Cemetery. The Boyd House, located in Boyd, Minnesota. This location has much history. Little Swan Cemetery near Hibbing, Minnesota. Its name says it all. The residential apartment building that for decades only housed the elderly. And last but not least, Lakeview Cemetery, Buhl, Minnesota, said to be one of the most haunted locations in the state. These are our findings.
Hey everybody, Mike,
Jimmy,
Paranormal Anomalies. We are on episode 4, Lakeview Cemetery, Buhl, Minnesota.
Yes, we are, and how excited we are to bring this to you.
This location has been known throughout the paranormal community for decades to be one of the most haunted locations in the state of Minnesota. And we went there, and man, did we get some pretty interesting events go on.
Oh man, did we. There's going to be so many things that you're going to see in this episode that we're super excited for, that we hope you're super excited for it, and we know you will be.
It just, at times, brought us back, and we had to kind of step back and be like, what the heck did we just see?
There have been moments in this investigation, we've gone back to look at the review of the evidence, and oh my goodness, I got chills. And let me tell you, it's going to give you chills.
So as you see here on the map, at the very top you have the entrance into the Lakeview Cemetery, where the gatekeeper is said to be. Other paranormal groups have come there and caught activity. Well, we wanted to go in there tonight. We didn't want to just stop at the gates. So we flipped our coin out the window to the gatekeeper. We sat there and did an EVP session, and we did not get any response to know that we could not enter.
So as we made our way through the gate, we went over to the old crematorium. This is where we set up base camp. This is where we had all of our equipment ready to go and our ghost van. And right away, we started catching stuff in the crematorium.
It was ridiculous. This place, when you get into it, it has an aura and energy. People have told stories of this place. I mean, all sorts of different stories from top to bottom. If you look over to the right of the screen, you'll see the Potter's Field. This is the old section, the old Iron Cross Cemetery, where back in the 1920s and 30s, when all the people passed away and there was nobody to claim them, this is where they ended up burying them.
So now as you see, Red Eye Row, this part is where people have been driving by doing investigations where they see a pair of big red glowing eyes that seems to just follow them wherever they go.
Then there's the Veterans Memorial. Many people claim that when they pull into the cemetery and start driving down the main stretch, as they see the Veterans Memorial off in the distance, they claim to see people moving across it or walking past, and there's nobody there at all.
Off to the left, you see where it says many claim to have seen entities in this area. They have also seen a very vibrant blue orb, green orb. It seems like it's Orb Central over in this area.
Now, as Jimmy was saying earlier, we set up base camp right over by the old crematorium, and it was interesting because this is just a really small building, but a lot went on here. If you think about it, a lot of different energies took place over time in this building. It wasn't more than just a couple of minutes, and then our surveillance started picking up these really dominant orbs over in the old crematorium, and then this. We didn't know what to make of that. It was unreal.
So after seeing all this activity on the surveillance, we decided we needed to get in there and start an investigation. I took Anton in there with me, and I brought the Sony, I brought an EVP recorder and my flashlight. Anton brought his camera and an EVP recorder, and we headed on in.
Anton, do not move. Repeat, do not move. An entity. Oh, this is kind of weird. So as Anton and Jimmy were in the crematorium, on the wired SLS system, you could see Anton there, and another SLS entity popped up at the lower section of his feet on the ground. It was really neat. It was really kind of cool, but it went away just as quick. It was only there for a few seconds. Unfortunately, we ended up losing this clip to corruption later on in the review when we were kind of.
So what was going on was,
As soon as we walked in, there was growl over on this corner of the neck of the woods. Is that where you saw? Beautiful.
oh my god. Okay, so what was going on? It didn't pop up here, but right where Anton's standing, his SLS figure was up, right? And then it fucking disappeared and an SLS figure formed more down by his feet.
For the third time, I got some real one. Like, you not even? Yeah, yeah. Are you in the hole?
So as we exit the crematorium, we decide to do another little investigation right outside the crematorium. But unfortunately, we didn't get too much more, so we then just decided to
Up and move all of our equipment over to the Potter's Field Iron Cross part of the cemetery. And this is the area where back in the 1920s, 30s, people were buried that nobody came and claimed. So as we made our way towards the Potter's Field, we couldn't help but feel this overwhelming sense like somebody else might have been there with us. It's kind of creepy. Oh, here on the map, you see the number 2. That's where we made our way over to the Potter's Field there, and that's where our second part of the investigation took place. And I tell you what, it got a little interesting for a little bit over there.
So as we're making our way down the road to Potter's Field, we have heard some stories from other people that they've been scratched. I mean, it drew blood. Even one person was clotheslined.
Others have had the sense of being prodded like into their sides with like a couple of fingers or a hand. Others have said they've gotten overwhelming feelings that they were like being watched or something was following them. And a few people said that they just got out of there. They'd only been there for maybe 20 minutes and they were like, couldn't do it. They had to go.
So one of the people that came to me recently had told me that him and a group of friends wanted to go to Buhl, and so, well, they tried. They got up to the gates and they had this presence where it's just like, yeah, we don't want to go further in there.
And I think that's where it comes back to the long told tale of the gatekeeper and flipping the coin out the window. You know, when you start going to places like this at night, there's those old tales, those wise tales behind them. You must heed the warnings because they're there for a reason. Listen, follow up, and always make sure you know where you're going and what you're getting into when you're doing these investigations. Please comment, like, share, subscribe.
So down in the Iron Cross, there have been reports from people where they've seen figures and shadows moving across the field in the distance where, I mean, they got nervous, they got scared even, where they wanted to run out. Also in this part, the crosses, a lot of times people would line them up, you know, stand them straight up. They would come back and they'd be slanted. They would be manipulated.
And that happened multiple times throughout the time we were here. It seemed like a cross would be shifted in a different direction here and there when we went back and forth. And then on the Sony camera, when we were going through in review, we caught these pictures of these orbs off in the distance, and there's a lot of them, a lot of little orbs everywhere. And in this one, you can see a lot of little orbs, but this real dominant one. I mean, it is almost a white one. It's just, you know, we were shocked when we seen it. Are these the lost souls of all these unclaimed spirits down here at the Potter's Field Iron Cross Cemetery in Buhl, Minnesota? Many claim to say it is. These spirits wandering in this field have gone on for decades. People have claimed since the 1970s to see these shadows or see these entities moving across this scary Potter's Field in Lakeview Cemetery.
So at this time, me and Mike, we felt like we were not alone.
It felt like there was something there with us.
It did. It felt like...
It was unreal. Like, it almost kind of felt overwhelming.
So I'm feeling cold at this time. Mike is feeling hot.
It was unreal. Like, the environment, the whole environment changed on us like in a split second. And then, as I was just kind of spanning around with the portable SLS camera, I happened to catch this at Jimmy's feet.
So as you see this SLS image, it is being brought up on the ground. There's nothing in front of me other than this entity.
Whole environment changed. Anton came into picture, then this happened. This weird mapping came up. We've never seen anything like it before. But that entity stayed on the ground. It wouldn't map up Anton. It didn't even want to go near him, as you can see in the picture. It was kind of interesting, and then it just disappears. It was gone.
So after we got this bit of evidence, we decided we still have a lot of other places we need to get to, so we decided to head on over to Red Eye Row.
And as we were coming up out of the Potter's Field area, we couldn't help but feel the environment change. It actually lightened up a little bit. So we really do think that there's a lot of activity back there in the Potter's Field. So we make our way down to Red Eye Row, the third part of our investigation. Down here, many have claimed to see this set of eyes that ends up following them, this overwhelming sense of feelings that they need to get out of there right away after they see them. So we went in and we took a look around. Nothing came out of this part of the cemetery. So we made our way towards our fourth part of the investigation, the Veterans Memorial, where many claim when they're pulling into the cemetery, they see these entities move across the cemetery. And when they get in, they actually see that nobody else is there. There's no cars, there's no other people, and it kind of freaks them out from the minute you go. And it's actually quite a beautiful little area. They have a bunch of resting plots over to the left and to the right. And in the center, they have all of the white crosses with the big memorial statue. And there's even a upper vault that you see here in this picture. Over here during this part of the investigation, we really tried to throw everything we had at it, but we caught nothing. And as you can see here, we had the surveillance camera set up. We had the portable SLS with us, the 4K, the 27K camera. We had 24 megapixel width. And, you know, we really did try, and just nothing really came of it over here.
Like Mike said, I mean, we tried to do EVP sessions. We didn't really even feel anything at this location, but we did try pretty hard.
Yep, and you know, Anton thought he'd seen a few things, but nothing really came of that. We did a few reviews on the Sony, we did a few reviews with the video, the handhelds, the 4K and stuff, and just didn't really see anything. So we decided to make our way over to number 5 of our investigation, the old crematorium. And as we were sweeping by to go into the crematorium, we caught this pic on the Sony. And in this pic, we didn't know what to make of it at first.
So in this picture, you see the mist, you see that very dominant orb by this tree, and then over on the right, you see the little light anomaly.
Then the entity what appears to be right next to it. If you really zoom in and look, it was really dominant and really big. And in this photo, you get to see the face in the mist and this real dominant orb next to it, which we thought was kind of cool and kind of interesting at the same time. And this is that entity again blown up. As you can see, it stands from the ground, must be around 5-6 feet tall. There were no tombstones in the area that stood this tall. And as we were coming over into the crematorium, we caught this on the portable SLS camera. This entity just pops up on this flat-based wall right next to the doorway. We didn't know what this was at first. We kind of felt this overwhelming presence, like it didn't want us to go in. Kind of felt like maybe this was, you know, a groundskeeper or maybe one of the old crematorium operators. We don't know, but it really felt eerie at this point in the investigation. And we kind of just stood there and watched this for a few seconds as it played out.
As you see here, it literally looks like it goes inside. Was this entity warning us about what was further into the crematorium? Mike decided to do an EVP.
Is there anything here that would like to speak with me?
As you heard there, we got some sort of response after I asked if there was something that wanted to communicate. We're going to play it over and over a few times so you can hear it. Then, as we were sweeping and taking some pictures with the Sony handheld, we captured this image over to the right of this orb. And in first review, this is all we seen, but then when we took it back later in the major review, we looked closer and seen this face. As you can see, it's right above the orb. We don't know if this was manifesting or one of the presences that we kept feeling throughout the evenings.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
I think that's a combination of a lot of things, though. I think it's us, the tiredness.
Then we just came from.
Earlier, I was actually over in Anton's position facing this way.
When you got that noise?
Remember? Yeah. And I was catching those SLSs behind you.
Yeah, that's kind of. Alright, boys. Oh, now. Alright, image 1, Anton. Image 2, Mike. Not a figure. That's not.
I have never seen anything like this in my life.
What?
Anton, I need you over here. I don't know if this is flare reflection or what's going on here.
Is that a face cam? No. The only thing I got was earlier.
You know, I hate to say it, but it seemed like after 1, 2 o'clock.
So in that last moment, it sounded like two blades running across each other like they're trying to sharpen. Now, at this moment, neither me, Mike, nor Anton heard that during the investigation.
They heard that. Did you? I mean, it's on there. It like dove.
Mm-hmm. It was like, as soon as I said so we can keep recording, it's like, I'm getting the fuck.
Did it dive in there?
It dove down in the hole.
It dove into the hole.
So, on the portable SLS screen, I saw this orb that went across the room and went right into that hole. Now, unfortunately, while we were backing up the portable SLS, it wasn't recording.
And throughout the night, as you seen earlier on that surveillance footage, we had lots of crazy orb activity going on in this old crematorium. So it wasn't shocking to see that on the portable SLS. And as we were going, we couldn't help but feel this presence again. This presence wanting us to leave again. It was kind of becoming overwhelming. So Jimmy has the portable SLS and he's now got it recording again. He's kind of spanning throughout the room. And as he was going,
I captured this image right behind Anton. So at this point in the investigation, it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It's early. We have been doing this for
about 12 hours now, give or take. We got out here at 5:30 and started set up and got everything going.
So at this point, yeah, we're tired. It's time. We talked about it amongst the three of us. We're like, okay, we got a bunch of super awesome evidence, and we were like, okay, let's bring it on home.
Yep, we went outside. We started talking about teardown because at this point we ran almost 2,000 feet of surveillance wire. We ran a few hundred feet of wired SLS wiring. We had a lot of cameras and a lot of stuff to tear down. You know, when we go out to these places, we come prepared. And when we go to cemeteries, we can cover almost any span of any cemetery.
That's right, we can. And we did. And there you have it! Lakeview Cemetery, Episode 4. Done. Complete.
It was an unbelievable time. We loved it there. We definitely want to go back there in the future. We definitely will be going back there in the future.
Oh yes, we will. 100%.
It was just one of those places that it captivates you once you get there.
Yes, it does.
So, Episode 5. Palmer Hotel. Ooh. Yeah, that's right, you heard it. Palmer Hotel. People have been talking about this place, staying at this place. It has got so much history and have said how their experience had been different, but such the same, especially around the point of sleeping at night. Everybody says when they sleep there, they feel blankets being tugged or they woke up by a sound or something happening in their room. Well, we never slept while we were there, so it was a different investigation for us entirely.
It was, because like he said, a lot of people, you know, they would have their experiences sleeping, but when you're an investigator and you pay money to be at a certain place, you don't have time to sleep. It is go time. Go, go, go.
So tune in next week for Palmer Hotel.